Untitled Author. I'm excited to be with you this month, and it's going to be a little bit different to normal. What I normally do is I interview one particular person who's generally an author, who's done something, and there's a theme. Well, this month is going to be a little bit different. I thought what I would do is I'm going to interview 5 different people at varying stages of the journey, from people that have not yet started to write a book all the way through to someone who is a published author and doing wonderful things, and everyone in between. So it's going to be a little bit different. I hope you enjoy this month's video cast, and you're going to meet some wonderful people who are on the journey doing incredible things, and I hope and know that you'll get a lot of it out of it. Each person is going to offer at least one hot tip that I think if you take that hot tip on board, it will really, really help you in your journey to become not just a published author, but an incredibly successful, best-selling published author living an incredible, positive, purpose-driven life. So enjoy the following interviews. I'm with Flic Manning from wonderful Melbourne, Australia, and Flic is someone who's right at the very beginning of this journey. She hasn't started writing a book yet, but she's right at the very, very beginning. So g'day, Flic.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me on today to talk to you and to all the people watching.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And people are probably wondering, well, why have you got Flic on if she hasn't written a book? And, well, I'll tell you why, because there's at every stage of the journey, and I think one of the things that happens when people get into the process of writing a book, you know, and it's every day, and they start to doubt and wonder, will it work? Can I do it? All that sort of stuff. It's good to just go back and remember where we all were when we made that decision. I know when I made my first decision, I was excited. So tell us about where you're at and why you want to write a book and how you feel about it.
Sure. Well, as you said, I'm right at the very beginning, so I'm really in that phase of outlining all of the different types of stories that I might want to actually share with the world, and I'm extremely excited about it. I'm definitely a person that goes all in on everything that I do, so once I make a decision to do something, that's definitely going to happen. So for me, book writing is a definite thing. It's always been a dream of mine since I was a very small child. I've always been into writing bits and pieces and things like that, but one of my biggest drivers for actually deciding to write a book, or really a series of books, because I definitely don't limit myself to one, is that I really want to leave the world just that little bit better than I found it. And I believe that some of the experiences that I've had and some of the things that I've learned in my lifetime could really help other people to make some better choices for their own life and to live a life of a greater quality. You know, I have a story around wellness and around invisible illness. And so for me, it's really been about trying to provide a living example of someone who has created a quality of life while in those conditions. And I didn't have any people to look to myself. So for me, a big part of it is that legacy of knowing that I'm going to leave something behind and hopefully provide hope for someone like me who didn't have that hope in the first place. So that's really my big driver, and I'm so excited to get started on it. I just want to get my fingers on the keyboard as fast as possible.
I know, I can see that excitement. So apart from, obviously, you have a message, you want to make a difference in lives of many, many people, what else is exciting you about becoming an author?
Well, I think that there's something romantic and beautiful about the concept of being an author. And again, I'll come back to that legacy thing. Even if you separate my story from the actual idea of legacy, books and words that are written have the profound ability to mark out a chapter of life. They have the profound ability to inspire generations long after we're actually gone, or to at least represent a particular point in history that we are never going to actually get to see. And I think it's wonderful that we can go out to a library and read something that was written 100 plus years ago and get a glimpse into what life was like for human beings, what the planet was like, what our thinking was like, and see how far we've evolved and changed. So for me, the idea of being an author and writing a book is hugely romantic and hugely beautiful, because it's something that is like a snapshot of time that will be left here for someone else to experience and enjoy and perceive through their eyes and through their lens of what their current life is like. And I don't think there's a lot of other things in the world that have the ability to have quite that same kind of effect. So there's something just really, really beautiful about getting to write a book.
Well, I mean, your enthusiasm and passion is overflowing, is jumping out of the screen at me right now, which I think is amazing, amazing, amazing. So, and I know, look, I'm going to ask you for a hot tip. All the people that I'm speaking to in this video, I'm asking for a hot tip, and I know you're not necessarily going to give us a hot tip about how to write a book because you're at that stage. But I mean, you are someone who helps people in every day in walks of life get through challenges and overcome and achieve things. So if you were going to give people watching this a hot tip to keep going and be successful as an author and in other aspirations in their life, what would that hot tip be?
Well, I think probably it's always going to come down to mindset. Everything that we do in life really comes down to the way that we think. And I think there are ways that we can really get ourselves into a good position to make choices to be successful in any field, whether that's writing or anything else that you do in life. One of the things that I always share with my clients, and I use on myself every day really, is that I will stand in front of the mirror and I will repeat a mantra to myself, looking at myself at least 6 times, that is related to the thing that I want to do, because then I'm opening up different cortexes of the brain. I am looking at myself, I'm visualizing it, and I'm hearing my own voice. And ultimately what I say to myself is what I'm going to listen to. That's the actual voice that's in the head that I listen to the most. So I always share with my clients, doesn't matter how many people tell you tips and tricks, it's what you are saying to you that counts. So stand in front of the mirror, create a mantra, 1 sentence, 2 sentences specific to what you want to do, and say it to yourself and say it over and over again. You will literally rewire your brain to be able to not just believe that thing that you're saying, but to empower you to make the right decisions to get it done.
That's amazing advice. So thank you for that. And I don't think there's anyone watching this video that has any doubt that you won't be an amazing, successful published author. And I think that's a wonderful tip for everyone. It is very much about what we think and what we believe as to what we achieve. And Flic, thank you for the short time you shared with us. And I really look forward to working with you on your journey and look forward to seeing the amazing books that you produce and the legacy that you leave on this planet. So thanks very much.
Thank you incredibly. I'm very, very grateful. And again, anyone listening, you absolutely can do it. Just make the choice and make it happen.
Wonderful. Thanks, Flic.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here with the Abramovic family all the way in Pennsylvania in the United States. And this is quite a unique book. This is a family book. And I'm really excited to have a chat to these guys. They're in the process. They're probably about 3/4 of the way through writing their first draft of their manuscript. So I want to introduce you all to Heather, Lynn, and Randy. So let's start with Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi, everyone.
So Heather, really the book's your journey, and you've had a bit of adversity and challenge to overcome. Tell us all a little bit about the challenge that you've had.
Well, when I was in my early 20s, I had a stroke that was due to a rare brain condition that I was born with, they think, but there was no treatment, and mine was considered incurable. So I ended up having 5 brain hemorrhages over 11 months, brain surgery, and was completely paralyzed on my left side for a while and had to fight back and get my life back.
And so you're writing, your book is all about that journey, all about that fight back, isn't it?
Yes, about the journey, the emotions, fighting whenever you feel like you want to give up, just keep going, and, just overcoming challenges in anybody's life, really.
Yeah, wonderful. And what I guess what I love about the book that you are writing is that your mum and dad are also writing and contributing to this book, because it's not just your journey, it was obviously your mum and dad's journey as well. So let's have a quick chat to Lynn and Randy. Hi, Lynn and Randy.
Hi. Hello, Andrew.
So Lynn, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about, how this journey's impacted you and what have you learned from it?
Well, we certainly went through all of this with Heather. And luckily and blessing for us, we went through it together as a family. so us being able to add a little bit at the end of each chapter, and it's mom here, dad here, I think will help people who either are parents or friends of someone going through a very difficult situation, kind of essentially know that you can get through that, and that there is a light at the end of that tunnel.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Randy, tell us
Yes,
a little bit about how it's impacted you, and being a dad, and how's this journey with Heather impacted you, and how do you see the book sort of really making a difference?
Well, I think that how it's affected me has been just tremendous to look at it again, and it's been 6 years, and we've just have worked hard, and the response of being able to write these things. And one of the things that I've gained from this is as we do our meetings every couple of weeks, and using my listening skills and hearing all of the opinions and thoughts have really helped bring this work together. Wonderful,
wonderful. So, Heather, you are a wonderful inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I know this book is going to impact a lot of lives. So just to help the people listening, what I want to ask each of you is just to give us just one tip for people that are writing their book. They might be struggling a little bit, something to encourage them and keep them going on the journey, because you guys, you've done, and I guess you guys are lucky because you're working together as a family, so you can encourage each other. But someone that might be going through the journey that just needs a little bit of encouragement. So Heather, what would be your hot tip?
My hot tip for everybody going through this journey would to be stay focused on the end goal. You started this journey with an end goal in mind, and there are going to be days where you want to give up or you just don't feel like doing it. But if you kind of change your perspective into why you started this in the first place, then that should be able to help motivate you.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thanks, Heather. Okay, Lynn, what about you? What's your hot tip?
Well, I would say to speak from the heart. And in everyone's journey, there are difficult times. And believe me, there were some very difficult times with Heather. And writing it sometimes wasn't pretty. It brought all those true emotions back. But I think if you're honest and you speak those emotions, it will end up not only helping other people, but it helped me put it in a place it should be.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. Thank you, Lynn. Randy.
And for me, it was to be an open listener, because as things were suggested and reviewed and thoughts were brought back and memories, it just, I really believe, helped bring the book to where it is today, which is going to be fantastic.
And it is going to be fantastic. So thank you, guys. I really appreciate contributing to this. I know those few words that you've mentioned will inspire other people. So we look forward to the book being finished, published, and out into the world. So thanks, Heather, Lynn, and Randy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here with Meg Hanlon, and she is doing some wonderful things, and at the stage of her writing journey when manuscript's done, she's edited it umpteen times, and now she's in the process of submitting to publishers, and obviously that can be a character building process. But one of the amazing things about Meg's journey, and I'm not going to steal her thunder, she's had quite a few distractions in the journey. So firstly, hi Meg, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good to see you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So firstly, tell us a little bit about the book you're writing.
So mine's a book on spiritual paths out of depression, or effectively emotional crisis, but it's been specifically written for depression. I went through depression when I was 34, which was 15 years ago, and I've used that to create a guide of what are the changes in thinking you need to have in order to work your way out of depression and stay out of depression.
Good. And so it's obviously a book that's going to have an impact on many people's lives. So it's important that it gets out to the world, correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so having said that, you've had some distractions in your journey of writing, and you've been incredibly consistent. But tell us a little bit about some of your distractions.
So I met you in January 2017, and just to put some context into this, I'm actually an intuitive healer. So I kind of believe in serendipity and the universe bringing things to you. So you turned up in January 2017, completely out of the blue. And then I had a couple of things happen that just made me go, I'm supposed to write this book. It'd been sitting in my head for, at that time, probably 11, 12 years, that I had an idea I wanted to do it. You turned up, I went, ooh, let's do it. I had a random conversation in a cafe with someone that I went, yeah, do it. And then I had a client turn up who was suicidal, and she took me back through my journey and reminded me of all the thinking I had. And I wrote the manuscript whilst I was working with her, and it was brilliant. But I also got pregnant after, I think, about 5 years of trying. So I was pregnant and you turned up, and I spent, it was really easy to write the first draft of the manuscript. I had my client and it just flowed so easily. And I had the manuscript written, and it was probably about 50,000 words at the time, by about July. And then I had the first edit done. And I think I put in like another 20,000 words along the way and got it out to publishers in August. So I think you said 20. I found about somewhere between 11 and 15 publishers to send it to, sort of in that August period. And then I had my first child in the middle of September. And so things sort of slowed down after that. And then again, because Spirit, I think, has had a little bit of influence in this. They connected me up while I was trying to look for a publisher with an editor who was a self-help editor, and she was no longer doing the publishing, but she very kindly offered to review my book and give me some feedback. So she did that in January, and I started, that would actually, a whole year went by. I think a whole year went by. Must have. And then, oh no, it was January. And then I did a re-edit to commercialise it just a little bit more. So I probably pulled out about 3,000 or 4,000 words, and that was about it, but just sort of changed the language a little bit and put a bit different structure in it. And then I got pregnant with my second baby. So that edit was done. I had my second baby in May this year, which that slowed down the edit a bit because I was getting tired, and my little man just runs and jumps and needs a lot of activity. And so now I'm back to finish the edit, and I'm looking for publishers again.
Wow.
So that's taken 2 years. So from January 2017 to now.
With two babies.
2 babies, yes.
Which
at 49, 47 and 49. So
wow.
Things happen in its own time.
And that, I mean, there's a testament to what's possible, isn't it? And the fact that it's only really, you go, it's been 2 years, but it's only been 2 years considering you've actually birthed 2 children in that time as well, which is a significant distraction, particularly you know, at the age you're at. So well done.
Thank you.
And, I mean, I know you're at that stage now where, you know, you're submitting to publishers and it can get a little bit frustrating. What's sort of keeping you going?
I believe in the book. I believe that this is needed out in the world. The number of people who say they're still suffering from anxiety, they're still suffering from depression, and they talk like it's going to be with them forever. And I don't believe that. I've solved it. I've solved it with clients using what methods I have in this book. And Spirit led me to this. Therefore, I will get this out in the right timing.
Wonderful.
I don't know when Spirit thinks it's going to happen, but I 100% believe it has to happen, or I wouldn't have been led down this path.
Okay, so your hot tip is belief. Just believe that it's possible, believe that it will happen, that if you...
Yeah, because it wouldn't be there in you if it wasn't meant to come out into the world, and you have a take on this that is only your version. So, and you have people that you will impact with this specifically. So you've got to trust that those people will be there, and everything will flow when the time is right.
Wonderful. Well, Meg, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing your book. What's the title?
Splash, Spiritual Paths Out of Depression.
Wonderful. We look forward to seeing Splat hit the shelves.
It will. It will.
I know it will. I know it will. I've got no doubt in you at all. But thanks for sharing. Thanks for your journey. Congratulations on your family. And
thank you.
And good seeing your book.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Meg. Bye. Sitting here with Jenny Cronin all the way from Massachusetts in America, and excited to have a chat with Jenny because she's at a really exciting stage of her writing journey. She's written her first book. It's now with publishers. She's at the exciting stage where she's just about to hold that published book in her hands, in this incredibly exciting stage to be at. So, Jenny, hello.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about the book. What's the book about?
So it's an action adventure novel. A woman and her husband, a woman's a police officer, and she witnesses a bank robbery, and she recognizes one of the bank robbers. And they had planned a trip to Alaska, and they kind of get chased to Alaska, and her plane was down. They have to survive in the tundra, and it just kind of follows that, and it has the underlying theme of some human trafficking, because I like to try and put a message into my books.
Yeah.
So that so at the end of the book, I do write something about the Center for Exploited and Missing Children, just to try and raise awareness of
good on you.
things.
That's wonderful. So now tell me, how exciting was it for you to get a publishing contract and to know that a publisher thought your book was good enough to take it out to the world?
Yeah, so I did have a few offers, and some of them were the co-publishing, which I've talked to a lot of authors, and they say a lot of times for your first book, that's a good way to go, is with the co-publishing. And so I decided to pick the one that gave the best offer and seemed to offer the most. And I don't think they just pick anything, so that made me feel good.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yes.
So you're very close now, isn't it? So you've just got a cover design, and so you're only a few months.
Yeah, I have my cover design, and I get to tweak it a little bit because I wasn't as happy with it as I thought I would be. I'd been waiting for it so long, and I opened it up. I was like, oh no! So I kind of redid it a little bit, and I finished my first set of page proofs. So I think once they fix the cover and then I sign off on that, I think it's pretty much ready to go. Yeah.
That's great. So tell us a bit about what you're doing now. I mean, obviously that book's, you can't write any more of that one. So what are you working on at the moment in terms of the publication of this book and future books?
So with this book, it's kind of just going on its own. So I had started right after I started submitting this one to publishers, I started a second book, and this one's about the opioid crisis, and it's the main character is a young man, and he has ADHD, and starts by self-medicating and becomes addicted to drugs, and it kind of follows his story and what happens to him. And I am now on the last chapter of that book. It's about 90,000 words.
Wow.
And I'm kind of excited about this one because I feel, after having written the first one, I feel that my writing's getting a little better with practice. So I think this one is hopefully another step above. So you hope each one gets better and better as you go.
So that, I mean, I think that's wonderful that you haven't just sat back and said, oh, I'm getting my book published. You've actually now, before this first one's even out, you've finished your second book, which is wonderful.
I know.
I think that's a wonderful message right there for anyone who's watching this and you're at that stage where you're starting to submit to publishers. Don't stop writing, keep going, because this is an ongoing thing. And what are some of the other things you're doing at the moment around the new book and promoting it? What sort of stuff are you doing?
I started a website, but I'm not super great with computers, so I have to. I'm just fiddling with it. So but once I receive the little card, because I guess they'll give me a bunch of cards in the mail, and then they'll set up some appointments with like Barnes and Noble, and so my local library, my local bookstore already are going to have me on, and then I have 2 podcasts that I hope to do. You know, people have given me kind of like, oh, sure, let us know when you're ready. So hopefully they'll still be on board when I'm ready. So I'll do the 2 podcasts, and then I hope to do, you know, some bookstores and
good.
And that.
Are you getting a array organised for that to happen as well? So that's fantastic, Mandy. Good on you.
Yeah.
So tell me, because obviously this is just a quick little bite of where you are on your journey. So you've gone through that stage of idea to writing, and obviously there's been some probably doubts and fears in the process, and then submitting to publishers, which can be a character building time. And here you are now about to launch your very, very first book. Your second book's written. Tell the people that are watching this one hot tip that you could give them to help them get to the point where you're at.
I would say consistency, because I do try to write every day. You know, at first, when I first started, I said, I'm going to write 500 words a day. And that was, you know, maybe a little bit too much to have at that time. So then I said, well, I'm just going to write every day. So no matter what, I'll try and write every day. And I pretty much have written every day for the past couple of years. And, you know, sometimes it might be under 100 words, and sometimes it could be over 1,000 words. It just all depends on what's going on. And but I would say just trying to, you know, set aside a little bit of time. And a lot of times I just use my cell phone, and I use the notes section. And if I think of something, you know, I see something, because I'm always looking around, I'm looking at people, listening to people's voices, just to try and just have ideas. So I'll talk it into my cell phone so that I have it.
That's amazing, Jenny, and that's a wonderful message. So everyone who's watching this, take that on board, write every day and be consistent, because think about what you've done. It's quite unique to have a book finished, your second book finished before your first book's. That's wonderful. If you can obviously maintain, and everyone I'm talking to, not just Jenny, maintain that habit of writing every day, you'll have an ongoing flow of books pouring out of you. And consistency will also obviously keeps the ideas flowing as well. When you're writing, the ideas will flow. So, Jenny, I just want to say good on you. Congratulations for where you're at.
Thanks.
Good luck for the launch of your new book. Keep writing, because we know there's lots and lots of books coming from Jenny Cronin. So thanks very much.
Thanks.
Hi there, I'm sitting here with the wonderful Mandy Whyte, who's in New Zealand, and she's the author of a book called Dancing on a Razor's Edge. So Mandy's obviously in the part of the process where she's published her book. It's been out now for a period of time, and we're gonna have a chat with Mandy about what's been happening since her book's been published and what are some hot tips she might have for us. So hello, Mandy, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
And firstly, congratulations, obviously, again on your published book. Well done.
Thank you.
So can you, before we sort of, I guess, kick into it, tell us a little bit about Dancing on a Razor's Edge, what the book's about?
I wrote a book about my son, who was an ice addict, methamphetamine addict, and to try and explore why he may have become one, and also to work out how I could be relevant in assisting him through the process and out the other end. So,
Good.
Yep.
Wonderful. So obviously you've written the book and it was picked up by a publisher and it's doing incredibly well and you're having some amazing feedback with it, which is wonderful. So tell us a little bit about what are you doing at the moment now? What are the cool things that are happening and how it's helping you, I guess, achieve your mission when you first decided to write the book?
Yeah, when I first started writing, it wasn't going to be a published book. It was really for my son and for me. And then as I got more into the writing, I realised that there was a lot of power in this because I was doing a lot of research. I was learning a lot. I was unlearning many things that I'd already knew from the addiction sector, and realising that, hang on, there was a lot of things being done wrong. So this book was very, I could see the value in it as being very transformative. And so I wanted to get it published. So I found a New Zealand publisher, even though the book a lot of it takes place in Australia. I felt that I wanted a publisher that was going to honour the message in it, which is a lot about parents and their role and the validity of their role in supporting their addicted children. It's been a little bit problematic because we supply within the New Zealand market, and so I really want to get into an Australian market. I think there's a huge need. I think there's a ready market there, and I just need to get it across the ditch and out to the bookshops and to mothers and fathers. So that would be one issue. So I've had to go through the process of publishing, attracting a publisher twice now, and it's quite hard work. So I would say that even though it's tedious to wait, and I want to go, and they're slow, I really need to just keep focus on doing what I can do, which is just continue to write, continue to promote here in New Zealand, continue to learn from the parents that I talk to. So I'm constantly engaging with the community in different ways, and whether I'm just reading blog sites to affirm my knowledge or to add to it, or I'm talking to groups and hearing these stories, and that's all good fodder because I can keep using it for other writing, other blogs, other books, and also with other presentations and workshops and things that can emanate from the book writing process.
Wonderful. So you're doing a lot of speaking at the moment at writers' festivals and different groups, which is wonderful. So you've been out there really leveraging that book. So good on you, and I think that's a really important thing to be doing. So Mandy, what I'm going to ask you for is just a couple of hot tips for people that are watching this that are obviously aspiring to be like you and get a book published and get it out there. If you're going to give one or two hot tips, maybe three, it's up to you, what would those tips be?
You need to be ready for anything. I knew the book was going to be transformative, but I didn't realise the impact it would have on me. So it's actually been transformative for me as well. So I've had to kind of go through a bit of a process of working out, is this book going to be my life, or is this going to be part of my life? Or am I going to give up my career and focus on this book? And that's been a big journey for me. The other is being prepared for what the community is the public's going to throw at you. I did try to be very strategic about how I launched the book and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to see, but the world doesn't kind of respond as in the way that necessarily you want it to. So I've had some surprises. I've spoken on radio and a couple of radio shows and felt like it may have just fallen into a hole and nothing was out of it. And then I've been on a couple where it's just been, had been swamped with people wanting to talk to me and sharing it, and so that's I've had to become confident in radio. I've had to stand up and speak, and just recently in front of quite a large audience at the Auckland Writers' Festival. Now that's a different kind of audience because it wasn't. I wasn't talking to mothers and fathers and addicts. I was talking to people with addiction issues. I was talking to book readers, book lovers, and they were not necessarily au fait with some of the issues I was raising. So that was a different audience, and I was really kind of pleased that the message resonated with them because it did seem to be a more universal message about really loving our kids back to life rather than treating them as criminals or or poorly behaving, yeah.
Yep.
So that's been cool. So I've had to learn to be a good speaker,
Yep.
or perhaps not a good speaker, but an authentic speaker. And I think that people have really kind of picked up on that. You don't have to be perfect; you have to be authentic.
Yep.
And I've jumped into a session the other day with a very small group where I became a facilitator. I did a little training session, so I had to be a trainer, facilitator, a mentor. I've been mentoring people out of my book, and I've chosen to do that because I've enjoyed it, because there's been value in it for them and for me. So your book can take you many places.
That's wonderful.
And,
Mandy, that's been so helpful. Thank you. And again, congratulations on all the amazing things you're doing. And we wish you all the best as Dancing on a Razor's Edge continues to gather momentum, and we'll see it in Australia very, very soon. So thanks, Mandy.
Okay, thanks so much.
Well, wasn't that incredible? I am so inspired after talking to those people and hearing about their journey and their challenges, the things they overcame, and their hot tips. Weren't the hot tips amazing? So I hope you got a lot out of that, and I just want to say thank you to Flic. I want to say thank you to the Abramovic family. I want to say a big, big, big thank you to Meg, to Jenny, and to Mandy for sharing and being a part of this wonderful video cast. And I just want to encourage you to take on board what they've all said, take on board their hot tips, run with, pick up on their passion and their enthusiasm and take it with you as you continue on your journey to become an incredibly successful published author. And I'll see you real soon.